Welcome to the Tigers Leadership Discussion Hour. I'm Diane Crampton, founder of Tigers Success Series. Tigers sparks collaboration between people by unleashing behaviors that support trust, interdependence, genuineness, empathy, risk, and success in the workforce and in community groups. We help leaders build a happier and more engaged workforce that makes achieving goals that much easier. Today, I would like to introduce you to Michael Levine, CEO and co-founder of Open for Change Enterprises Incorporated. Michael's mission is founded on the desire to leave the planet in a better place than when he arrived. He is accomplishing this by improving the human condition as CEO and co-founder of Open for Change Enterprises. Michael believes we should always leave each other in a better way than when we first met. Michael wants to live in a world filled with collaboration and innovative people figuring out ways to reduce our carbon footprint, to help and support the people who need it, and to create more efficient ways to do business. Michael believes that we need forward-thinking leaders to unite and create better methods, ones that are socially conscious, have a positive environmental impact, are energy efficient, and most importantly, empowering to our communities so that we can all live happier, healthier, and more productive lives. In his career, Michael has helped corporations make millions of dollars, never really questioning how they were making that money, and more importantly, what they plan to do with all that money. In his recent trip to Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand, Michael found his purpose in life and true calling. This calling is to use his skills and talents to make millions. But instead of helping to stockpile that money, he decided to create a company that actually puts that money to good use, such as in helping people in need and repairing our damaged environment. That is why Michael and his co-founders started a new social enterprise in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia called Open for Change. And their effort is to help balance the scale of equality. So if you endorse the notion that food, clothing, and shelter are basic human rights, whether you live in a developing country or not, and if you understand that there is abundance to be had all around us, and collaboration offers solutions to help us affect that change in society, then you are definitely in the right place today. Welcome, Michael. I am so happy you have joined us here today.
Well, thank you very much, Diane. I'm so delighted to be here. And wow, you've got me inspired already.
Well, you're an inspiring man and a forward-thinking leader, and I believe somebody very valuable that our listeners will be very interested in. Let's start off by giving our listeners a thorough understanding of what OFC is.
Wonderful, great. Yeah, actually, Open for Change is a for-profit social enterprise. And what we are is we're committed to creating a united community that empowers people to make sustainable change. So for-profit is pretty straightforward. Social enterprise is something that's a little bit new in society now, and really what a social enterprise is something that in the business model that they're creating, there's a component that gives back to the environment or people, and also, more importantly, is conscious about how they're making their profits. So in our case, we won't make profits by anything that has any negative impact on the people, planet, and environment. So our online social platform invites members to make change in their communities by contributing time and money to credible social organizations. So membership fees from our platform are multiplied and then redistributed to causes that our members want to support. So basically, we're committed to giving 2/3 of all of our profits back to society because we believe in people, planet, and profit. So what I'm saying is 2/3 of all the money we ever make will go back to the world.
That's really fantastic, and I really want to emphasize something, because usually when you think of social change enterprise, we're thinking of nonprofit organizations. Mm-hmm. Your organization is a for-profit business, and so you come under maybe some more latitude than what you can do in the business community than, let's say, a for-profit organization can do when it comes to stimulating businesses with a similar mission to yours. Is this correct?
Exactly. I think we've got a lot less restrictions. It's quite debatable in the industry, but there's a lot less, in my eyes, restrictions as far as how you can make money and how you can operate your business. As far as I'm concerned, it's my belief that becoming a for-profit organization and having the ability to make basically as much money as we can on the open market, I think the key factor is what we do with that money afterwards.
I would agree. So let's take this a step further and learn more from you on how OFC does accomplish this.
Mm-hmm. So what we do is we invest membership fees into socially conscious businesses. So what we want to do is basically, as a group of owners and investors for the company, we believe profoundly that we can improve our environment and our society if we just invest in the right businesses and products. So we're going to do that. We're going to invest in socially conscious businesses that have a positive impact on the environment and people, or at least a neutral, but definitely not a negative impact. So say, for instance, solar energy. So that's got obviously a positive impact on the environment because we're not burning fossil fuels anymore. Plus, we can create a profit from that as well. And so essentially what we do is, with the profits of those investments, we then donate 1/3 to the people, 1/3 to the planet, and the final third we reinvest back in our company as profit.
So, Michael, since you are in the Okanagan Valley, British Columbia, do your investments stop at the Canadian border, or do you invest in North American businesses and companies in other countries as well?
We definitely want to look at growing our investment portfolio into an international portfolio. Okay. Right now we are obviously a startup, and we are starting in Canada and very much grassroots in the Okanagan Valley here. But we want to create a global company where our investments are global, our members are global, and our impact is global.
Excellent. Well, and that gives us a better picture of what your growth vision is. And yes. And I'm sure that there are leaders on the line who are now clicking through saying, this is interesting. It could impact my business in my community. It could have value to me. So what makes OFC different than other social enterprises?
So what makes us a little bit different, or considerably different, I would say, is the way that we collect funds in order to invest into the social businesses. That's what makes us different. And the way we're doing that is we've created an online social platform, so a new social network that we're going to inspire people to sign up as paid members for the platform. So essentially it's a network, just much like Facebook would be, but think Facebook for social change. So what we're going to do is inspire people to become paid members of the platform, and it's their micro membership fees that we collect and invest in these social businesses. Now, the beautiful thing about Open for Change is the membership fee is only $5 for a lifetime membership.
That's very reasonable. Anybody could actually invest in that and learn from your skills and strategies, I would assume, through that social network. Is this correct?
Exactly. So basically what we've got on the social network component of it, so you'll have your own profile, and you'll be able to access other profiles and other causes and other networks that way, and learn more about what you can do to make an impact, or where you could potentially volunteer, or perhaps where you could send some of your resources in order to help benefit other social organizations around the world.
Well, when I think about this, Michael, you just triggered something in my mind, and that is how, since we have a business focus and we're building as an organization groups of people that are very trustworthy, interdependent, genuine, empathetic, risk-resolving, and successful, many organizations have employees locked into a job scope that they really can't move much out of unless they do volunteer, where they can have greater latitude to build their leadership skills. So if a company were looking at, let's say, workforce development initiatives where they wanted to give their employees the latitude to volunteer on projects and actually, let's say, head up a project or learn from your organization so that they could develop a project, let's say, through a Rotary organization in their local community, then this would be a good fit for those leaders, correct?
Absolutely. It really is. And we're starting off with just working with individual memberships at this point and giving individual opportunities. But what we do have is we have a vision to create small business, corporate memberships as well. And what we're going to do with that is offer abilities and opportunities to create events in your community, and we'll help with that. And anybody who really wants to give back, help their community grow in any way, shape, or form, that's where we want to be involved, and we want to help people with that.
I think that's a wonderful vision, and that's not something that I actually saw on your membership site. So our listeners are getting a forward vision of where you're headed.
We've got a lot of surprises that nobody knows about yet, and they just happen to be in our base camp here. And we've got a lot of different things that we're working on, multiple projects going all the time. And be used to staying on your toes, because that's where we want to keep you.
Well, I'm going to try to pump more information out of you then on this call for sure. So it's really interesting. Many small business enterprises are cut out of any sort of grant process because they are for-profit businesses. So
Right.
what I'm hearing from you is that you actually might have some seed funds for small businesses in the future that allow them to maybe develop a piece of their business that is more socially important. Is this correct?
Absolutely. One of our biggest mandates is to find the people out there who have the ideas that are going to help change our world and help provide positive impact into our world. And so what we want to do is really incubate and encourage these different ventures or ideas or innovative thinking or inventions. And we want to fund those so that not only do we make a profit from it, so that we can, on our own, help our community through OFC contribution campaigns, but we can also help this business grow, and then by virtue of that, they're benefiting the environment or people as well. So the only ventures that we ever invest in are ones that have a positive impact. So all of our ventures will be improving the environment or the community at some point. We're encouraging anyone who's got ideas like that to contact us.
Excellent. And if we cycle back to your bio at the beginning, you have built many different companies. Is this correct?
I've been involved in, yes, building many different companies or running different companies. I was an entrepreneur right from a very, very early age. When I was younger, when I was about 20, a group of us got together and started a magazine company, and we were very successful for a while, very new in the business world, so lots of lessons to learn there. Recently, for the last 8 or so years, I've been working with my parents. They're also entrepreneurs and investors as well. They own a private school, private Montessori school here in Canada, a bunch of other different businesses, holdings, real estate, that kind of thing. So I've really got a really good sense of the business world, and I believe that with that knowledge and experience that I've learned over the years on how to make the money, for other businesses, I think that I have the ability to now, with my new passion in life, change that around and start using that skill and talent towards putting that money back into the environment to help people who are suffering. Because I don't like seeing people who are suffering. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because that adds a little bit more depth to your background and the leadership and experience that you bring to this enterprise so that leaders have, I think, a greater depth of knowledge of what your background is and what you bring to the development of OFC.
I think actually one of my biggest skills or traits or character traits would be the fact that I know that I don't know everything, and the fact that I know that I don't have all the skills that it's going to take. And our goal, our purpose, is to attract the right people to build this team to help us create this for everybody. So this is something that can't be done by one person. It has to be a team. So understanding that you need other people around, you need to collaborate, you need to understand that you might not always be right, but together when you collaborate and work together from the same core values, the same purpose, the same reasons why you're creating something, if you get a really good group of people together like that, then you've got a really good shot.
Well, and I agree. I think that when we look at interdependence in terms of collaboration and cooperation, when people realize what their strengths are and can focus on that genius, then they don't have to do other levels of the business at less quality because that's not their genius. So when you do collaborate with like-minded people with definitive skills and definitive genius, and you're not competing for the limelight between one another, that really makes the effort achievable.
Exactly. Be afraid to say you don't know, or ask, or say, I don't have that skill, and don't be afraid to ask.
I totally agree, and I think that's exceptionally good advice for the leaders that are listening today. So if someone is already giving back to their community, why would they have any interest in joining OFC? What is in it for them?
Well, there's a lot of different things that would be in it for someone like that. I think one of the big things is, you get to be part of a social network, a brand new social network, which is a community that's committed to collaborating towards social change. So again, much like Facebook is, you can create profiles, posts, pictures, you can go into cause groups and connect through people and volunteer opportunities through there and learn more about how you can give back to your environment or how you can give back to the people that are in your community, or it's simply just being encouraged or inspired to create goodwill or pay it forward. So from just simple little gestures all the way to volunteering your time and energy. So it's the platform that would separate us from others. I would think maybe another reason would be our members get to vote. Our members get to vote all the way along the way on not only where we invest the money, but where we put the profits back into the community and the general global direction of the company as a whole. And that just breaks down to our membership levels. Another reason would be if your organization aligns with our core values, we'll invite you to partner with us and we'll drive traffic to your cause as well. So basically we're creating a network to attract like-minded people who care about the impact on our planet. So essentially, your target demographic.
Well, and when I think of the Okanagan Valley, I'm thinking of the wonderful wine that you're producing and all of the leftover grape skins that could go into a fabulous composting project. Have you tackled anything like that locally that would give ideas and insights to people in wine communities?
Yes, I've connected with some people in the agricultural industry. I've met this one guy who does organic compost. And so he's really, really passionate about his compost. He knows everything about it. He's like a mad scientist for soil. And so what we want to do is we want to bring all those people, that knowledge together, and we sit down and we say, look, it's time to build a community garden here. How do you want to do this? And what's the best way to do it? And you bring everybody involved. And I'm connecting to a bunch of different people in communities all around the world, actually, but Canada as well, and learning how they set up their gardens and how it works for them and where they can give the impact back and how it really can become sustainable and benefit their community. So absolutely, yes.
And then thinking in terms of collaborative stakeholderships, I've all of a sudden expanded this out to the slow cooking movement, clean eating. I mean, I can think of a number of different stakeholder groups that would have an interest in that core composting function. Have you done any development of stakeholder groups to use, let's say, something like an extrapolation off of composting to benefit a variety of different stakeholders in a community?
So far we've started the idea and collaboration process of that. We haven't actually created any infrastructure on that particular venture.
Okay. Well, that is something that could happen if in theory it all has a social improvement end goal.
I think the thing to focus on and to really understand is right now many people are purchasing food products through major grocery chains. And the majority of that food isn't healthy for you. It's not even doesn't even have the nutrients that you're expecting that you're eating out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you combine on top of that the fact that it's been transported all the way around the world in order for you to have that food that is no longer nutritious and is no longer healthy, I think people are ready for something that's a lot more sustainable, a lot more healthy for them and their families, and actually gives back to their communities as a whole. And something that can not only feed them nutritiously, but also feed the hungry, also feed the poor. I mean, why not?
Yeah, and then that also goes back to your carbon footprint, because if it's grown locally, that carbon footprint is a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm. There's an interesting phenomenon going here in the Okanagan Valley that me and my friends find a little bit peculiar. We grow a lot of grapes and orchards and apples and all that. Mm-hmm. We're famous for it. Yet, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but we import apples from China.
Oh, my goodness.
And that doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think that we should be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, in our local community, there's what is called a locavore movement, a very strong movement to raise and sell produce and animals locally. I definitely will be putting some of those people in contact with your website, because I would think it's in alignment, again, with projects that are currently going on that you're building quite a lot of information and intelligence around.
Yes.
From a systems approach. So what was the inspiration to do this? What was your inspiration behind OFC?
Well, there's the question of the year, isn't it? Diane, that's actually a really good story, and it's a really good question. There's a lot of things that became the inspiration to creating what is known as OFC today. Of course, my trip to Southeast Asia was a really, really big component in that. I met a lot of people there in that developing country who had so little but gave so much. When I went on my trip, actually, one thing I was expecting to see a couple things when I went over to Asia, because my preconceived notion of what it was going to be. I expected to see poverty, and I expected to see misery. Now, the poverty is everywhere. But what I was surprised to see is I didn't see as much misery as I expected. And what I started to recognize and notice is children or families or communities or people who had very little or next to nothing, they were actually happy. And I couldn't understand it at first, because they didn't have iPhones and they didn't have designer jeans and they didn't have expensive cars or really nice houses. They didn't have any of those things. They barely even had food or clothing. But they were actually genuinely happy, playing and enjoying their time with each other and being in a community environment and loving each other. And it was when I was in somebody's house, well, I use air quotations when I say house, it was a little bit more of a shack, and I was visiting with them, and they were so genuine and loving and giving, and I knew that I had more money in my pocket than they made in a year, yet they were still giving to me what they had very little of. That really touched me. It really showed me, opened my eyes to what's really going on around in the world, and it gave me the opportunity to reflect on myself and what I was doing in my career and how I was moving forward. In addition to that, there were other factors that played a big role. 2012 was quite difficult for me because I had a lot of death in my family. It all started with I lost my dog, and then I lost my grandfather, then my brother, then my sister. And that created, obviously, as you would assume, challenges for me in my life. I'd had to figure a lot of things out and really starting to ask myself what's really important in life. Is it these cars? Is it having a really good job? Is it owning companies and having employees? Or is it experiencing love? Is it experiencing the gift of what nature has to offer us and life in general? I think that trip really kind of turned things around for me in combination with really looking back at the misery and the pain that I had in my life and where it led me to go and search for these questions and answers. Also, my entrepreneurial experiences for the last 15, 20 years has actually really set the stage to be able to create something like this.
And it's interesting, Michael, when you talk about, we call sorting through the bones of your life as a leader, usually does take significant loss of some sort, be it family, be it significant relationship, be it the job that you thought you were made for, and all of a sudden you find yourself without that reason to be. People have to kind of reflect back on themselves to decide what is really important. The difference between doing something and being who you are meant to be. And I think this is an important step for leaders who become more collaborative and, let's say, less competitive in their upward climb for recognition. What would you say the very deepest learning was from that bone sorting experience?
I would say that would definitely have to be, if I died today, would I be happy with my contribution to society? And the answer scared me. It was a resounding no. I had lived my life with self-entitlement, arrogance, egotistical. I wasn't a really great person. I just really wasn't. And I was only really concerned about what I could have or what I could get or what it could make me or how many things that I could have. And I really didn't fully understand that my actions or the things that I did in life not only had an impact on the people who were close to me, but it also had a rippling effect impact on the people around them. And so when I started to really start to realize that and really started to understand how I was leading my life up till that point, that's when everything sort of started to change for me. And inside me grew a burning desire to start to give back and start to help people who really need help. Not like myself. I thought I needed help, but I don't. There's other people who really, really need help. And so from that, I realized that that was my passion in life, and I haven't stopped since.
Well, and it's interesting. People say that bone sorting time of their life, oh gosh, I don't want to ever, hit that. But it's probably one of the best blessings in leadership development that can occur, because it does. It brings you back down to what is very most important.
Absolutely. When you're staring down the barrel of it, it's scary. It's so scary. You don't even want to walk into it, right? But after the end, when you come out of it, you're a completely different person. And you start to understand yourself better, and you start to understand your surroundings and your society and your community better. And then, now that you can understand, now you can start to think of ways on how you can maybe improve it or give back or grow.
Exactly. To kind of shift gears a little bit here, I'm actually a member of your Facebook community, and I also joined as a member of Open for Change. Are you active in other social networks? And what did the social network arena lay the foundation for when it comes to Open for Change?
Well, it's crucial. It's everything, right? Other networks, obviously I've got the Facebook, but LinkedIn would be my favorite. Because I've met, I think we actually even connected through LinkedIn as well.
I believe we did.
Yeah, and I have met so many amazing people through LinkedIn, whether it's through collaborating, whether it's through just getting some feedback, or actually coming on board and joining our team. I've got invaluable connections there. And so what I've been able to do for the last 11 months was really grow my network. When I came up with the idea in December 2013, we started putting everything together. And then I think it was about March or April, I realized that I was in the stage of now starting to network and start to really get out there. At that time, I only had about 130 friends on Facebook and no other social media. Well, today I have just over 3,958 friends on Facebook. I've got 2,600 connections on LinkedIn, and then I've got all the other social medias, the Twitter and the Instagram, and I've got my team helping me build those things that I don't even know what most of them are, right? So it's been instrumental in being able to reach out and connect with people and find out what do they think about where we are right now? What do they think that what we can do in order to improve this? And what I'm really learning is that not only are people ready for something like this or need something like this or hoping that something like this becomes available, but they've been searching for reasons and ways on how to give back and help for so long, they're just not quite sure how. And I think what it comes down to is perhaps the conventional opportunities that we have to contribute donations to perhaps other nonprofits, perhaps people are just kind of not really into giving to those ones anymore because they're not maybe sure where it's going or how it's being used, which is a really big difference for Open for Change because we have a commitment to full transparency, complete transparency. I actually have a dream and a vision to be called the world's first 100% for-profit company. We've got a commitment to show our members everything, our community decisions, our successes, our failures, every dollar in, every dollar out. We're going to show how we make our money and where we spend it. We're going to show the financial reports, the audit reports, the bank statements. I'm going to put my personal bank statement as CEO up on the website for all to see.
Well, and what's really interesting, Michael, is that is a good lesson, too, for business owners to be able to see. And I think you're right. First of all, you're tapping in to a huge number of people, in the millennial group especially, who are very interested in clean eating and low carbon footprints and much more social tolerance and outcomes of that tolerance issues. And I think from a corporate design standpoint, there's a large number of people very interested and, like you say, don't know exactly how to go about making a difference if they've got $5. For as little as $5, a person can start learning through your example and your demonstrations and your transparency how they might be able to replicate that for themselves.
Exactly, and here's the really cool thing. Say you don't have $5. Say you're a 12-year-old child or one of the 1 or 2 billion people around the world who have internet access but not $5. Well, what you can do on our platform is you follow our link to our affiliate, which is another social organization platform, and if you register with them, which is a free registration, you now earn $5 digital with Open for Change. So now you've got a free membership with Open for Change. So now that 12-year-old child has access to the platform and can now vote on different campaigns to feed a 12-year-old child somewhere else around the world who's starving. So now we are accessible to everyone in the world who has got the internet.
Okay, so I want the educators who are listening to this conversation to take note of that. It could actually be a classroom project. So once the idea for Open for Change dawned on you, did you and your founding team members bootstrap this startup yourselves, or did you go out for crowdfunding?
Okay, that's a good question. So what we did was I thought of the idea in December. In January, I got my 4 closest, smartest friends together. And in February, we each took $10,000 and put it into a corporate bank account to start Seed OFC with $50,000. In March, we got incorporated. In April, we started building the platform and started building the network. So we put up the seed capital to start the company. We actually did do an Indiegogo campaign. It wasn't necessarily to get revenue for the company in order as far as investment because we needed it. What we actually used that campaign for was just to sort of spread our word a little bit more because we actually didn't need the funds at that point. The $50,000 was enough to start the company and start the platform. So we financed it ourselves.
And so that gives other people who are listening an idea of how you could, with 4 good friends, actually create something that has significant value and provide an exceptional career for yourselves if this is what your desire is.
If I could only find 5 or 10 or 15 more people just like me with the same core values, with the same reasons of why I wanted to create this company, and the why was to help people. If I could just find a handful or more of people just like me, well, then we would have enough to create a company that could profoundly change the world. So that was the idea. So as long as I have like-minded, collaborative people who are owners in this company, and well, I always will, then we have the best chance for success.
Okay, so kind of cycling back, if I live in the U.S. or if I live in Croatia and I want to become a member, how will acquiring a membership really help me in my community?
That's a really good question. So the way that I would answer that, since right now we are in the startup phases, the way that I could answer that is that we'll strive to enact change by thinking globally and acting locally. So we want to encourage others to join us, and then we'll give them access to information or tips on how they can improve the environment or lifestyles right in their own neighborhood. So in addition to that, globalization has taught us that strength of the community has global rippling effects. So improving your community here can benefit somewhere else in the world, right? So we're all interconnected. We're all one planet. So the idea is to inspire people to enact change in communities all around the world. And we've got a lot of really cool little innovative ideas that we are excited to release and show people that just one person can create change. I mean, change starts with yourself at home, and then it goes out into your community. And there's lots of things that we can do that can help change the world. It's not as daunting as everybody believes, I think.
Well, and I agree, because it just takes a couple of good ideas with a good goal, people knowing what they're supposed to do to achieve that goal, and staying collaborative and proactive and positive going forward in the relationships you build to do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an entire society or movement. When you say that ripple effect, I'm thinking of a clear pond and plopping a rock in the water and watching those ripples go out. And it does benefit people in very dramatic ways.
Exactly. You want to talk about subtle ripple effect and goodwill? Try this. Next time you're at the mall, okay, and you're walking through the mall and you see a whole bunch of average faces with maybe just walking through their day and they're maybe not too happy. I do this all the time. It's a lot of fun. Walk through the mall with a giant smile on your face, just a big grin for whatever reason. And just keep an eye on people's eyes as you're walking towards them. And what you'll see is a lot of maybe frowns or maybe just people who are just not looking like they're in a great mood or anything. And when they catch your eyes, when they look at you, something interesting happens. They start to smile too. And it doesn't even matter why you're happy. It's enough for them to be happy. And it's such a powerful thing because now their mood is improved. And now maybe they go and improve somebody else's mood. And now our community is better.
Well, and I love that pay it forward, a simple example, because it's true. So going forward on this simple benefit that we're talking about how do I become a member? And I think we covered a little bit about what it costs. It could be free, by becoming an affiliate, but how much does it cost?
So memberships range from $5 for a bronze membership, and that's a lifetime membership, all the way up to $250 and higher. So this is how it works. So why would somebody want a bronze membership? Because if you have a bronze membership, then you get to vote on where we put our 2/3 profit back into the world. So because we divide all our profits into 1/3 to the people, 1/3 to the planet, and 1/3 we reinvest, those 2/3, people and planet profits, you actually vote on where it goes. You help us decide which social organization actually gets the money. Now, if you like what we're doing and you want to support us more, you can upgrade to silver. Silver is $25, and now if you're a silver member, you get to vote on where we actually invest the membership fees, okay? And you can go one step further and become a gold member, which is $100, and now if you're a gold member, you get to vote on the strategic global direction of the company as a whole. So all the way along the way, our members are engaged, making decisions. Well, they're a lot more like stakeholders than they are customers. This company is for them, is just as much as it is for us. So we want to create a system where everybody gets to have a say, everybody gets to have an input, and it's the collective, collaborative effort of all of us that makes the decision.
So what would be my privileges of membership beyond the voting privilege?
So in addition to getting the voting, you also have access to the social network, so you can create your own profile and connect with other like-minded people that are also committed to sustainable change. You also get the knowledge that you're doing something to change the world, which is what I really like. That's the part I like the most about it. And it answers one of the questions that you might have is, I want to make a difference and I just don't know how.
Well, it does. It gives you an avenue to be able to make a difference. So now let's say I've joined. Now how did I join? Where would I go to join?
Openforchange.com.
Okay. So now let's say I've gone to openforchange.com and I've joined. And what do you do with the membership fees?
So if you've joined as a member and you've given us a membership fee, what we then do with those membership fees is, based on your votes, we invest them into socially conscious businesses in order to create profit that we can give back to the world.
So let's help the people who are listening get a better idea of the types of businesses that you will invest in.
Okay, so Again, so basically we're going to be investing in any business model that is socially conscious, okay? So it has a positive or neutral impact on the planet or its people. So nothing with a negative impact. If it's polluting the environment, anything like that, we are not interested.
Well, we picked out of your examples composting. Can you give us another real solid, specific example?
So like solar energy or clean consumer products. So say, for instance, there wasn't a clean bleach out there. Well, we would go and investigate, learn, create, and make a clean bleach. Invest in a clean bleach so that we can provide that product to consumers. We know that there's clean, viable alternative products for some products on the market, but we also know that there's other products that don't have a viable alternative solution. So we want to be able to provide those or help provide those, invest in other companies that can provide them, create them ourselves, whatever it looks like. We just believe that people need to have them.
Okay. So do you raise funds in addition to your membership fees?
So a contribution campaign is our way of financially reinvesting our 2/3 profits back into credible social organizations. So when we make money, and so the 1/3 profit that we give to the people, we give it to the people by way of a contribution campaign, and then we do it through social organizations that are already on the ground level. So we coordinate campaigns for two purposes. The first is to support social cause organizations that are doing positive work in the communities already. So a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter. We'll go there, we'll make sure that the resources of the money will be utilized for what our core values would like to see it used for, and ensure that there is actually positive impact taking place with that organization in the community. And the second thing is to encourage members, the purpose of a contribution campaign is to encourage members to join us in learning more about that organization and perhaps get them to help people in need for the first time. So our goal is activation, right? I think that's key because it was about a year ago that I volunteered for the very first time in my life, and wow, it felt good. You know, better than ever cashing a $1,000 check, better than ever winning a game, better than ever doing anything else I can think of it, to be honest. Giving back and helping somebody who really needed it filled something inside me that's been missing for such a long time, and I became addicted. I can't get enough. That's all I do now. That's all I do. I love volunteering. And so I would love to inspire other people to just try it out. You know, it might not be for you, but hey, maybe it is. And I believe that in society we're getting away from that too much. We're designed to be in a community. We're designed to help each other. We're designed to grow together and love together, and I think we're getting away from that. And I believe it's important for us to get back to it.
Many of our listeners own small businesses of, say, up to 800 employees. And if they wanted to launch a project to benefit the community, how would they contact you, and how would they start their request with your organization?
Email info@openforchange.com, and I will reply to your email with lots of smiley faces.
and typically, what financial level of funding could they request? And let's say, how is this different than, let's say, angel funding?
How is it different than angel funding? I think it's different in angel funding because the platform is the network that combines the members with the investments. So it's the members that help drive the investments. Other than that, it's not very much different from angel investing because we are taking investment capital, putting them into businesses or ventures, and trying to create a profit. So it's capitalism the same way. However, what we are obviously trying to do is make these investments more impactful for us in a positive way. And these investments can be anything. They could be very small to very large, depending on, obviously, our portfolio in our bank account.
In many ways, it's kind of like a social funding, crowdfunding campaign in a way. It sounds like.
Yes, you've got it. You're starting to get onto some things that we're going to roll out sometime down the future, but that's about all I'm going to say about that.
This conversation.
That'll be for our next podcast.
That'll be for our next one. Good. What other information would they need to supply to you in that funding request process? Thanks.
So what you would do is you would contact us and you would let us know what your idea is. And then we would give you the other steps on how you would then submit it as a venture that we would then put up to the platform and have our members vote on. So there would be key criteria that we would need to answer: the financials, the viability of the product, the team, the components, all those things. Much like an angel investing firm would do. We'd do our due diligence on the investment opportunities. But we are trying to make Simplicity is one of our core values, so we want to make this simple and easy and get the ideas from incubation stage to market as quickly as possible so that we can benefit the environment as much as possible. And in case anybody's wondering, our other core values are community, equality, transparency, and sustainability.
Oh, wonderful. And my desire for this podcast is we'll have it on a web page, and then there's opportunities for question and answer. If our listeners wanted to ask some additional questions of you, would you respond to those questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for sharing your vision and for building higher levels of collaboration on the planet. We're about ready to close, but I'd like to ask you one more question, and that is, if we haven't covered enough in our conversation today, what else would you like to share?
I think the thing that I would like everybody to know about Open for Change is we are here to unite the community. We're here to open up our hands and say, let's do this together, because at the end of the day, together, we can all be the change that we want to see in our society.
I want to thank you so much for your desire to share with us and that common ground desire to improve the world of work, because this is our desire, is to improve the world of work for 8 million people around the globe. And you've helped us do that by learning about OFC and your mission to improve the human condition.
Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor to be on your program, and the Tiger Success Series is something that I'm very interested in, and I'm really, really grateful that you have put this together for the world to be able to benefit from.
Thank you so much, Michael. You have been listening to Michael Levine, co-founder and CEO of Open for Change Enterprises. I'm Diane Crampton, and we share insights on collaborative workforce culture and business enterprises with progressive leaders in the Tiger's Den Leadership Discussion Hour. Thank you so much for joining us.